Well, there's a sizable crowd behind me. It's still an unusually early time, given Norwich have completed their fixture for this weekend already. But they have completed it, and they've completed it in some style as well, with a 4-0 win over QPR here at Carrow Road. There's now 6 games left. As things stand, Norwich are 10 points clear of Sheffield United in third. Of course, Sheffield United and Leeds are currently playing now, so let's disregard that for the moment. Norwich have done their business. They've picked up their 25th league win of the season, and they've actually, of course, now gone 8 successive league victories on the bounce, which, as I believe NCFC Numbers has said, that is Norwich's best run of successive victories in the top 2 divisions of English football. So quite the run, and something that takes immense hard work. I mean, that is a phenomenal rate of consistency. They've done it with some really tricky fixtures, and they've done it, of course, with actually the same 11 as well. Now, we know that's definitely going to change come Wednesday's visit from Reading, but we'll get into that in a moment. But you know, fair play to the Championship's best side, and they looked it today. Queen's Park Rangers, with a change of manager, it can go one of 2 ways. You can just collapse under the loss of your leadership and all the insecurities that basically created that sacking in the first place. Of course, Steve McLaren was sacked on Monday. Or it, as Daniel would talk up rightly, it can give you a load of fresh air and lift a weight, and all of a sudden players play with freedom and want to show that it's nothing to do with them why everything was going wrong. We very much got the former with QPR. They were all over the place. Norwich were ahead after just 6 minutes. A goal made by Ben Godfrey's wonderful crossfield ball, Max Aaron squaring and Emi Buendia tucking away. Straightforward goal, woeful defending, and to be honest, in the first 5 minutes before that goal, QPR looked horribly open at the back, even though they were marginally bright going forwards, and that openness at the back always looked like undoing them, and it did. I have to say, in the first half, Norwich were outrageously good at times. Queen's Park Rangers looked like they should be a lot more nervous about a relegation scrap. They couldn't count themselves lucky they've got so many points on the board, because they were absolutely all over the place, and it didn't really get better at any point in the first half. Norwich were in at 3-0 at half time. It could quite easily have been more. The second was a nice snapshot from Marco Stiepermann from range, but Lumley had to palm it away. He just seemed to palm it into the net. It was really poor goalkeeping, but a bright move from Norwich nonetheless. And the third one, that was after just 12 minutes, and it was like, well, how many are we going to get here? The third came sort of on 30 odd minutes, I think it's 38 minutes later on the second half. Tony Leisner had come on for QPR to kind of mix it up and make things a little bit more solid, but he kind of put them in a difficult position as Norwich pressed. Freeman lost the ball, bit unfortunate. I think he was the man. He is basically QPR's best player, and he was the man that was trying to take responsibility. You could see that during the game, but he lost the ball. Emi robbed him, played in Emi Buendia, and he scored for the first time in 4 or 5 games. Can't remember exactly how long the drought was. It wasn't really a drought because he was still creating goals, but that was number 25 of the season, and number 26 in the league came later on in the second half. 71 minutes, brilliant counter, great long ball from Zimmerman. Hernandez with an important role to sort of back Puki's run up, but also kind of block off the defender in a way, and Tamer put in a wonderful finish to get his second of the game and take him to 26 in the league for the season. That's better than a whole host of strikers. I think there's only 2 or 3. I've been trying to find the stats, so we haven't quite managed it, but I think there's only 2 or 3 players who've got a better record in a season now than Emi Buendia in the league. So phenomenal. Emi Buendia is right up there with one of the best striker seasons we've ever seen at this football club. It's a phenomenal thing to say, and underline Norwich's supreme dominance. They won when they had 10 men. They won 1-0 when it was 10 v 11. I don't think they could have dominated the first half anymore if it had been 11 v 9. Just complete out a class apart, really. And summed up as well Emi Buendia's performance by a wonderful bit of backtracking on the counter, where he ended up at right back, trotted back 60 yards at least to win the ball. Got a phenomenal cheer from the crowd, and I think that sums up exactly. It's not just Temu's goals, it's everything he brings. It was lovely to talk to him after the game. He is absolutely made up about what he's done this season, but likewise keeping his focus. I think Norwich are now so close, it's getting hard to do that. I'm finding myself being interviewed by people and getting ahead of myself, so I'm guilty of it too. But the crowd didn't today. The crowd were absolutely superb. We had chanting, clapping in all 4 sides of the ground. Everyone was up for it. It was a great atmosphere. Obviously, it was helped by the football. Norwich being 1 up after 6 minutes made life a lot easier. But fair play to Carrow Road, and if they can do that again on Wednesday night under the floodlights, then fair play to them, because these are great times for this football club, and they are on the verge of winning the Championship title, really. It's just absolutely phenomenal, but we'll see what Leeds and Sheffield United do tonight, of course. So that was all brilliant. The downside, I will not, again, for the life of me, work out why Daniel Farke could not make changes with about half an hour to go. Mario Vrancic, Moritz Leitner, Jordan Rhodes, all warming up, all there, all ready to get some minutes in. Moritz Leitner came on with 3 minutes to go. I would love for the changes to be made just so they get some minutes, especially with the midweek game coming up. I really don't. I know why, but I personally just wish it was different. And I have to say, Emi Buendia sliding straight through Scowen, I think it was of course the tackle he got sent off for. Out of the 4 angles, there's one where he's off the ground and it looks really bad. That red card is probably fair enough, especially given it was in front of the linesman and the away fans. Everything conspired to make it a perfect storm for a red card. Straight red. Emi Buendia misses the next 3 games as a ban, which is, of course, Sheffield Wednesday on Good Friday, before that Wigan on Sunday, and before that, of course, Reading in midweek. So that's 3 big games that Emi Buendia is going to miss. The stat goes, Norwich City have not won a league game that Emi Buendia has not featured in. So that says a lot for a team that's won 25 of them in the Championship this season. So that stat is going to be sorely tested, of course. I love Emi Buendia. He's a fantastic player. He's scored 1 and made the other 2 today. He's integral to this side, and he'll be a big miss. It's a surprise maybe he hasn't been sent off before this point. But the caveats I would say are, if Farke does make a couple of early changes, I know it's with hindsight, but you maybe just freshen it up. Maybe people just get taken out of the heat of the battle at that point, and maybe then Emi doesn't make what was a stupid decision in terms of his challenge. That said, I do think he was unfortunate because Emi Buendia was taken out from behind 3 times when the player got nowhere near the ball and their trailing leg caught him. Now, Emi only made contact with his trailing leg. I know it's not about contact with the player. It was a dangerous challenge. But by the same token, and if Norwich appeal the 3-game ban decision, I'm not sure if they might get knocked down to 2. I'm not sure if they can do that, even if they do bother to appeal it. But in the incident on its own, it looks like what it is, and you probably can't really argue with it, although I would still say it does look quite harsh. The problem is there were 3 or 4 other tackles where players were going through players, not getting the ball, sometimes jumping in, sometimes with their legs scissored a little bit, fine margins really. Obviously all these tackles were in slow motion, but the difference between that challenge not even getting a booking and Emi's ending up with a 3-match ban seems like a massive failure of the rules. It never really twigged. I must admit initially I thought it was only a 1-game ban because it wasn't violent contact in terms of headbutting or elbowing, but if Emi Buendia had gone up to Scowen and nutted him in the face, he'd have got a 3-match ban, and that just seems wrong, really. There should be a differentiation. I don't see how that tackle really is serious foul play or violent conduct compared to some of the other tackles that were flying in during the game that barely registered a booking. But, you know, whether Norwich can send in a DVD of all the challenges, I don't know. But there we go. Rant over. And it's not to say that I particularly disagree with the red card in itself, because as an incident in itself, it was what it was. But there's still a few fans mingling around outside Carrow Road. Of course, the other games are all going on. It will be a little while before we see all that resolved and we know actually what Norwich's league table looks like and view from the top looks like come kick-off against Reading. Of course, some of the teams also play on Tuesday night, so we will see how it all pans out. But as is absolutely key, Norwich have done their job. They've picked up their 3 points, and they are now only 6 steps away from the Premier League, and it might not even take that many, of course. So we're back here for Wednesday. I don't think there's anything else I've missed about the game. I think everyone played pretty well, to be honest, and it was kind of a consummate performance given how bad QPR were. So yeah, I think I'm covered. Of course, all the rest of the reaction and analysis over at PinkUn.com. Make sure you catch it all. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if that's where you're watching this, because there'll be loads of additional content and I would not want you to miss out, especially as we enter what could be a very exciting few weeks. Finished here, Norwich City 4, Queen's Park Rangers 0. I think you're going to enjoy your weekends.